Good evening, everyone. I'm Father Steve Zukas. I'm the pastor here at St. Edward's. And we're very pleased to welcome you here to host the 8th annual Lowell Mason House Holiday Concert. I grew up in Norwood. I'm class of 78. And the reason why I mention this is I lived on Winter Street at the bottom. I used to try to say by the cemetery, but I found saying by the dump was much more descriptive for that purpose. But it was also very close to the school on the hill called Norwood, also known as the high school. And we were treated to band practice listenings every Thursday and Friday. And my sister played the flute in the marching band, and the name Paul Alberta was used, usually not in vain, very often in my house, primarily due to the amount of practices they had as well as the amount of competitions Norwood did well in. So for me, it's wonderful to once again be immersed in community music here in Medfield. Tonight's concert is yet another fabulous tradition for this community. And as someone who enjoys and appreciates music, I'm personally excited about St. Edward's helping to advance the mission of the Lowell Mason House. We all know that music helps to create a sense of joy and well-being in people of all ages. And without individuals trained in music education, our options for immersing ourselves in the sounds of an orchestra, a choir, a jazz ensemble, or solo performance, for example, would become more difficult to come by. That is why the work of the Lowell Mason House and the man himself, the father of music education in America's schools, is so important. Preserving, restoring, and promoting Lowell Mason's birthplace here in Medfield as a contemporary music education and historical resource is an important endeavor that will help to create a sense of shared humanity and understanding through music. Lowell Mason especially believed in the power of singing to create community. So tonight we focus on the theme of celebrating community voices, something that our special guest, Libby Allison, will touch on later. We hope that when you watch the performance this evening, and especially the grand finale of the Hallelujah Chorus, you will be inspired by the music you hear and will join me and so many others in supporting the Lowell Mason House. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you our first performance by Medfield High School Chamber Strings. This ensemble, comprised of top students in the high school orchestra program, has performed at virtually every Lowell Mason House holiday concert since its inception. Let us give them a warm welcome and let us enjoy the show.
Thank you, Chamber Secretaries. My name is Tom Scotty, and I'm with the Lowell Mason House, and I'll be acting as your MC this evening. We could not fit additional information in the program, so Home for the Holidays was written by Robert Allen, arranged by Clark, and The Waltz of Flowers from the Nutcracker Ballet by Tchaikovsky was arranged by Robert Longfield. And next, I invite the First Parish Unitarian Universalist Choir to come up to perform. Eva? The First Parish Choir is in part here because Lowell Mason was music director at First Parish 200 plus years ago. They're directed by Eva Kendrick, who'll be on the piano, and they'll be performing God Rest Ye, arranged by David Chase, and the Hallsway Carol, arranged by Audrey Thompson.
Sing for the coming of the longest night.
Thank you, First Parish. It's now my pleasure to introduce Eric Bauman Rosencraft from Church of the Advent, who will be performing When I Survey the Wondrous Cross, which is based on a Lowell Mason melody. It is arranged by Bruce Greer. Eric? Thank you, Eric. And now I'd like to introduce the Trills and Chills, which is a middle school and high school a cappella group, many of the students of whom are in Eva Kendrick's voice studio. Trills and Chills.
When the stars in the sky remind us of true compassion, let us love till we die, and God bless us everyone. In your heart there's a light as bright as a star in heaven. Let it shine through the night, and God bless us everyone. Till each child is fed, till all souls are free, till the world becomes a family. Star by star up above, and kindness by human kindness. Light this world with your light, and God bless us everyone. Till each child is fed, till all souls are free, till the world becomes a family. Let the stars in the sky remind us of true compassion. Let us love till we die, and God bless us everyone. God bless us everyone.
Thank you, Trills and Chills. Next, I'd like to introduce John Cornett, who studied music at Dartmouth College and has been in many Eva Kendrick productions. He will be accompanied by David McGrory, who was born in Belfast and educated at the Royal Scottish Academy of Music. John will be performing from Handel's Messiah, Comfort You, and Every Valley Shall Be Exalted. Additionally, the first time I ever heard John sing, I had a serious case of what I call tenor envy. So, we're intrigued. John and David.
Come to Jerusalem, and cry unto her that her woe there is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, that her iniquity is pardoned. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be exalted, shall be exalted, shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill below, the crooked straight, and the rough places plain. The crooked straight, and the rough places and the rough places every valley shall be exalted. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill below, the crooked straight, the crooked
Thank you, John, and thank you, David. That was outstanding. We're going to do a little setup here for the Medfield High School Jazz Combo. The Jazz Combo is comprised of members of the award-winning high school jazz ensemble who have won numerous awards and performed the annual state, regional, and local events and festivals. Thank you, Jazz Combo. Before I introduce our guest speaker, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Father Zukis and the parishioners of St. Edward's for allowing us to use this beautiful church for this holiday concert. This is our 8th year running and our 2nd year at St. Edward's. The concert gets better and better every year. Additionally, I'd like to personally thank Eva Kendrick and Krista Hugh Potts for being my partners in organizing this concert and all their hard work. It's truly a team effort. And finally, you've probably seen him running around here. I'd like to thank Paul Hogan for helping with a lot of the behind-the-scenes work with setup and the removal of performers and making sure they have chords and everything else. Parishioners of St. Edward's, though, Paul is always a part of helping keep things running smoothly, and I thank you, Paul, for your help. Tonight, I'm thrilled to have the honor of introducing a very special guest, Medfield resident and Berkeley College professor, Lydia Allison. Since her early days as a music teacher in Connecticut to her current role at Berkeley, for the past 47 years, music education has been Libby's life work. It's been wonderful to look at Libby's career trajectory to see that her path has taken her through public and private K-12 schools, into higher education and also consulting. With a special penchant for vocal performing combined with her deep music education expertise, including developing future generations of music educators in the spirit of Lowell Mason, we can think of no better person to represent this year's concert theme of celebrating community voices. Please join me in welcoming Lydia Allison.
I'll do my best to use my teacher voice. I don't know if this works at all. We'll pretend it does. Thank you so much for that kind introduction, Tom. And thank you to the Lowell Mason House group and all these wonderful performers tonight for providing me this opportunity to give you a little of my thoughts about Lowell Mason, about community, and about music education. Community is important to me, and even when I'm teaching, the first thing I think about is making a community. We tend to make groups in music education so that we can work together as opposed to competitively. I like conversations, I like humor, and I'm somewhat irreverent, so I'll just warn you ahead of time. I'm also super music ed nerdy, and for those of you who are music educators, you'll be fine. Everybody else, it's about pedagogy, it's about how you learn, and the excitement there is in watching people learn. I'm going to give you also a little, I guess, a foreshadowing. Please listen especially for a quote from the movie Elf. And I'm going to connect Elf and myself and Lowell Mason. So listen for that. Okay, so let's have a little conversation about community and connections with Lowell Mason. He seems to show up in my life wherever I go. From my earliest times in music, I remember playing a piano accompaniment to Joy to the World, which was arranged by Lowell Mason. And I didn't know at the time who Lowell Mason was, nor did I really care, to be honest. I just wanted to get the notes right. And I especially wanted to make sure that I did it well enough so that everybody would stand and applaud, because I did like the attention. Everybody loves the attention. When you're a performer, you're a performer. I also remember in some of my earliest performances doing Nearer My God to Thee at a Memorial Day service. And I remember thinking that that was a really interesting tune and that the harmonies were really interesting. And I found out later that that's Lowell Mason's tune, Bethany. Right from the beginning of when I started to be a musician, when I started to be a music learner, I had some kind of connection with Lowell Mason. My community of musicians started with my family. My 3 sisters and brothers singing The Lonely Goat Herd and You Are My Sunshine in the back of the station wagon wherever we went. That's a community. Also, the children's choir at my church, at St. Joseph's Church in North Riverdale, Connecticut. If you don't know where it is, it's on your way to Foxwoods. At St. Joseph's Church, I got to sing the Mass in Latin. I got to sing the Mass in French. And I got to celebrate St. Cecilia's birthday every year. St. Cecilia's feast day is November 22nd, if you'd like to stop by and join me for a celebration. But that was part of my music education, that we honored the people who had come before us and the people who had given us music. It created a community. A couple of other things happened early on. During my senior year in high school, I was invited to be a performer and an interpreter of American popular music at Old Sturbridge Village. For those of you who don't know, that's a living history museum about an hour from here. They had, at that time in the 70s, a large music program that included not just a fife and drum group, as you would expect, but it also included several people who interpreted music, the music of Lowell Mason, among others, and Billings, and there were Sunday concerts and Sunday services, and I was considered a hostess. And in my little pink dress and my white cap, yeah, we don't even need that right now. In my little pink dress and my white cap, I sang the popular songs of 1790 to 1840. So I was a pop musician, just a couple of decades late, or maybe a century or so. As part of that job, I had to learn a really large repertoire of music, folk music, classical music. I learned some Mozart love songs, who knew Mozart wrote love songs. I learned Billings. I learned learned Lowell Mason. And I got a chance to play a Mason and Hamlin piano. And that's what I would do every day. I would sit down at the piano, I'd play songs and sing, and occasionally have to point people to the restroom. It's a very glamorous job. But the best part of it was the research piece. I was fascinated because I got to do research in a huge library at Old Sturbridge Village. And I got to go off to the Smithsonian and to the Massachusetts Historical Society and learn about the musicians who were popular from 1790 to 1840. And among them was Lowell Mason. Thank you very much. I worked with the community at Old Sturbridge Village for 10 years. And during that time, I really got to understand how his job as president of the Handel and Haydn Society led him to do these wonderful hymn sings on Boston Common, right down the street from where my office is now, which is really kind of exciting when you think about it. And the Mass Historical Society is right around the corner. All of those places had a start in my scholarship, in my life, in my work, and it influenced how I was as a teacher, because I knew that we honor what has come before us, but I also looked at how hard people worked. Lowell Mason organized these hymn sings on Boston Common. I used to imagine that they were kind of like the Woodstock of 1790. That's my own take on it, being a child of the 70s, I guess. And that all these people would get together and sing hymns. And he thought, well, would this be easier to do if maybe people could read music, if everybody understood how to read music? And he was invited to start a program in the Boston Public Schools. So how cool was that? First music education program in the country in a public school was right in Boston. Well, we honor that still today in lots and lots of different ways. I got an opportunity as a college student then to do a series of recitals as part of an independent study. I included Lowell Mason, of course, did some research, and after I performed at Sturbridge, I also got invited to perform at the Smithsonian, which was one of the coolest things I've ever done. I know it's a museum, but it is kind of cool. And at the museum, I met a couple of other music scholars who were really interested in music education and the beginnings of music education. So when I took my first foundations course in music education at the University of Connecticut, my professor started off the first day with, and the first music educator in Boston, Massachusetts was Lowell Mason. And I went, I know him. There's the Alpha quote for those of you who know. Thank you. I worked really hard to get that. But a few years later, as I was talking to Tom Vassell at an event at a conference, we were talking about the Lowell Mason Award at Mass Music Educators. And Tom said to me, I remember how excited you were about Lowell Mason. I've never seen anybody so excited about Lowell Mason. It was really nice that I made an impression on my professors early on. So I learned about Mason's strong advocacy for music education, his work to establish that first program, and that resonated so strongly with me. Once I started teaching in public schools in Connecticut, first, and then in Massachusetts, I began to understand that the music programs are not just instruction, they're not just performance, but that this fundamentally human process of music making, whether it's as creator, as performer, or listener, gives all of us the community that we need. Music is the glue that holds that community together. The realization of community came to me in my teaching, in my very first teaching position. I quickly understood that the students in my classes and rehearsals came from a wide variety of ethnicities and cultures, but that despite language, racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic disparities, we could all contribute equitably to a music community. After that, I had the privilege of working in public and independent schools here in the Boston area. The students in every single place I have worked have demonstrated a dedication to one another and to music making, and most importantly, when they are presented with equitable resources and opportunities to form musical communities, they have these moments of joy and satisfaction that those of us present here this evening know as a basic human right. From preschoolers to senior citizens, making communities and experiences in music gives us that joyful communion of spirit. This connection of music community and Lowell Mason keeps coming up for me. He lives down the street from me. We live on Green Street, and so I drive by his house every day. I feel like he's my neighbor now. He shows up in my professional life in that there are Lowell Mason Awards for both mass music educators and on the national level, the National Association for Music Educators. And his work has inspired music teachers across the country. He's a part of the elementary methods classroom course that I teach at Berkeley. And he also pops up in my philosophy of education course in connection with John Dewey and democratic education, because one of the things that Lowell Mason thought, and one of the things that he inspired him, was the work of Pestalozzi, who said that everybody can learn. Everybody can learn everything, and that play is how we learn. So there's a reason we call it play in music, I think. When my sons were students here at Medfield, they performed in a musical presentation about the life of Lowell Mason. I'll bet there are some people here who were in that, or were here then. That was in the probably mid-'80s. My sons had no idea how meaningful that was until they were adults, when I explained it to them. So now when I drive by Lowell Mason's house, though, I think about, I wonder what he would think about the commute that I have. Past his house and down Route 9, I'm sure the traffic conditions a little different. Probably takes the same amount of time now as it did then. But I think he would love this community that Medfield has become. I think he would love the joyful, eclectic musical community. I think, and I imagine, that he would endorse this joy in musical communities because he was inspired by them. Student musicians, teaching artists in Medfield and across the country continue to create communities of music. Here's the inevitable commercial, my friends, and it is personal and it is heartfelt. Please know that the nonprofit Lowell Mason organization plays a really important part in advancing music education and helping to support those educators who make it possible. I hope you will take a moment to support the Lowell Mason House today and in the future so that our music communities can continue and flourish. Thank you so much and happy holidays.
Thank you, Lily. That was quite inspirational and quite amusing. And I need to put Elf back on my rotation. Now I'd like to introduce Becca Cornett, John Cornett, and Eva Kendrick singing Evergreen by Pentatonics. John, you already met. Becca is active in choral music in Boston for many years, singing at Boston Cecilia and Back Bay Chorale. And Eva Kendrick, who oversees the First Parish Choir, as well as Trills and Chills, is a composer and instructor for many years, active here in Medfield and beyond. Thank you.
There's a box in the attic, we take it to each year, and pass the generations, lights and souvenirs from the ones who came before us. Reason why we're here, singing all these carols and spreading all this cheer. Don't forget, never lose all the joy that's made for you. So come on, girl, let's sit by the fire. I want to tell you a story about my mother, how she would give up everything for her daughter's dreams. Yeah, my mother's love is evergreen. For all the weight she carries, she ain't tired. I spend my whole life trying to be more like her. So on every Christmas Eve, I thank my family tree. Yeah, mother's love gave us everything. Oh, a mother's love is evergreen. There were hard times we struggled. She never let me see. Kept food on the table and gifts under the tree. Now that I'm a little older, it isn't lost on me, the magic of tradition and the memories we keep. So don't forget, as time goes on, all the joy is never gone. So come on, boy, let's sit by the fire. I want to tell you a story about my mother, how she would give up everything for her little boy's dreams. Yeah, my mother's love is evergreen. For all the weight she carried, she ain't tired. I spend my whole life trying to be more like her. So on every Christmas Eve, I thank my family tree. Yeah, mother's love gave us everything. Oh, a mother's love is evergreen. La da 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 da, la 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 da da. For all the weight she carries, she ain't tired. Ooh. I spend my whole life trying to be more like her. So on every Christmas Eve, we gather around my family tree. Yeah, mother's love gave us everything. Oh, a mother's love is evergreen.
Thank you, John, Becca, and Eva. Next, I'd like to introduce Ian Kazarjan, who's our next performer, and will be doing Waltz of Flowers from Tchaikovsky's Nutcracker Ballet. Ian is music director here at St. Edward's and performs locally and teaches locally as well. Ian? Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce the Troublemakers from Montrose Schools. The Troublemakers will be performing Carol of the Bells and Mary Did You Know? Carol of the Bells is by M. Leontovich, arranged by Peter Wachowski, and Mary Did You Know is by Mark Lowry and Buddy Green, arranged by Matt Huff. Montrose has performed at every single holiday concert for the past 8 years, so very happy to have you join us again. We perform regularly locally at the Angel Run and Medfield.
Did you know that your baby boy will one day walk on water? Mary, did you know that your baby boy will save our sons and daughters? Did you know that your baby boy has come to make you know, to make you his child as you deliver? This child will soon deliver you. Mary, did you know that your baby boy would give sight to the blind man? Mary, did you know that your baby boy would storm with his hand? Did you know that your baby boy has walked where angels trod, where angels trod? Your little baby, you kiss the face of God. The blind will see, the deaf will hear, the dead will live again. The lame will leap, the dumb will speak, the praises of the Lord. Mary, did you know that your baby boy is Lord of all creation? Mary, did you know that your baby boy is Lord of all the nations? Did you know that your baby boy was heaven's perfect lamb? Sleeping child, don't hold his sleeping child. Mary, did you know? Sweet silver bells all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, ding, 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 dong, ding, dong, bells are song, ring, dong. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. All praising the song, glad days are their tongues. While people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Ding, dong, ding, dong, that is a song. Ding, dong, ding, dong, all Christmas dong, all Mason, dong, ding. Sweet silver bells all seem to say, throw cares away. Christmas is here, brown and cheer, ding dong 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 in the bowl, ding dong dong, bells are sung, we ring, all caroling. One seems to hear words of good cheer from everywhere, filling the air. All praising the song, glad days are there too. While people sing songs of good cheer, Christmas is here. Ding dong dong, that is a song, ding dong dong, all Christmas dong, all Mason, dong, ding. On they send on with the wind, their joyful song to every home.
Thank you, troublemakers. Next, I'd like to introduce Sophia O'Toole, who is one of the outstanding performers from Memo's Tree Lighting, which was last night here in Medfield. Sophia will be singing Believe from. Thank you. Polar Express.
Children sleeping, snow is softly falling, dreams are calling, like bells in the distance. We were dreamers not so long ago, but one by one we all had to grow up. When it seems the magic slipped away, we find it all again on Christmas Day. Believe in what your heart is saying, hear the melody that's playing. There's no time to waste, there's so much to celebrate. Believe in what you feel inside, He give your dreams the wings to fly. You have everything you need if you just believe. Trains move quickly to their journey's end. Destinations are where we begin again. When it seems that we have lost our way, we find ourselves again on Christmas Day. Believe in what your heart is saying, hear the melody that's playing. There's no time to waste, there's so much to celebrate. Believe in what you feel inside, He give your dreams the wings to fly. You have everything you need if you just believe. Just believe. Just believe.
Before I give the update on the status of the Lowell Mason House, I wanted to share a bit of a program snafu. It was a real challenge to fit all the additional performers and bios this year in the program. In fact, so challenging that we forgot to include the update. Fear not, here it is now. Lowell Mason, born in this Medfield house in 1792, is considered to be the father of music education in American public schools, this you already know, as well as a pioneer in American sacred music. He was a music educator, church musician, publisher, and composer. In April 2011, Lowell Mason's birthplace was saved from demolition by a group of concerned citizens and music educators and safely moved onto town-owned property next to Hinkley Pond at 59 Green Street. Once the house was saved, then we pivoted to do the next thing, which is, what do we do with it? The mission of the Lowell Mason House is to create and program an active space for music making, music and arts, education, advocacy, and historical preservation within the original building of Lowell Mason's birth. Once completed, the Lowell Mason House will serve as a major cultural hub in this region. Through advocating for the importance of music education, it will offer a diverse selection of musical instruction and performance to the wider community. It will function as a landmark honoring Lowell Mason's legacy in a facility that encourages artistic expression through promoting the value of arts education both locally and nationally. It will also celebrate the important contributions that Lowell Mason made to American sacred. In the last 11 years, through the financial support of our donors, the Lowell Mason House team has improved the structural integrity of the house and fixed its exterior by installing a new roof, replacing the siding, windows, and doors, and painting it. All done with sensitivity to be historically accurate with this 200-year-old home. Other upgrades include the addition of new outside and inside stairs and installation of the electrical service that will be critical to the future work on the interior. Through our contractor, Medfield's own Hurley Tested Construction, we've engaged an architect and structural engineer as the Lowell Mason House enters the process of obtaining town permitting in advance of starting the interior renovations. A clear purpose and vision for each room of the house has been established. This includes a meeting space, a collections room, and music practice rooms for individuals or small ensembles, along with a conference room able to accommodate up to 15 people. Oh, and by the way, naming rights for the rooms will be made available. Ideas are also being developed for the use of the grounds immediately surrounding the house. The goal is to create a valuable cultural resource that will be open to the community and the wider region. However, the Lowell Mason House is so much more than just a building. And at this time, I would ask that Dr. Tom Reynolds, president of the Lowell Mason House, stand, as well as any other board members here tonight. Please stand and be acknowledged. Board members have been instrumental in the development of the Lowell Mason House programming for music education advocacy. These include music education advocacy competitions for lesson plans and program proposals advocating the importance of music. This current cycle, we have had submissions from coast to coast. California, Texas, Florida, New York, and right here in Massachusetts are all represented by submissions this year. The winners will be announced in early 2023. We've also sponsored music education techniques workshops, music scholarships at Medfield High School, summer memo, and this holiday concert here in Medfield with online streaming available. Thank you, Medfield TV. A significant base of committed individuals, organizations, and businesses have provided the financial support necessary to undertake a project such as this. In 2021, we received our first significant bequest from the estate of Barbara Allen. In closing, we believe Lowell Mason would be proud to see his Medfield birthplace supporting the causes he loved so much. Your gift, no matter how large or small, can become the gift of music to a child, to a senior citizen, or to a member of the greater community and beyond. We would like to have this saved historical treasure of Medfield become a functional facility that could be opened to further promote music in our schools and music in our lives. You can make a donation by going to our website, lowellmasonhouse.net. That's Lowell Mason House, all one word. Oh, and by the way, we now take Venmo. Donations by mail may also be sent. There are donation envelopes in the church foyer. Thank you for your kind attention, and now back to the concert. And at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce concert pianist David McGraw. Thank you, David. And at this point, I'd like to ask the bigger choir to start to assemble in the choir loft. I'll chat a bit while they all collect themselves. Late summer, I got a call from Jonathan Gray. And Jonathan said, Tom, I think it'd be a great idea to do the Highland Chorus at the holiday concert. And I said, John, you're crazy. He said, no, I've done it lots of times, it'll work. But okay, if you want to do it, I'll help, send out the word and promote it at Medfield Day and so on. And heck, I'll even sing. And everyone's probably wondering, why am I carrying this black binder? Well, I'm singing too. So Jonathan Gray, accompanied by Tara Gray, will now direct us in the Hallelujah chorus from Hymns Messiah. And let me get the fire on. you, Jonathan. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, chorus. And everyone, that's the end of the concert. Good night. Fly safely, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.